Karmelo Anthony is charged with murder for the stabbing death of Austin Metcalf last year. The 12-person jury, plus 6 alternates, were still over 10% of Collin County's population is black. There will be no black jurors. Before the final jury was seated, the defense objected to the final 3 black candidates being struck by the prosecution. Fox 4's Amelia Jones is here to explain what it all means for the trial. Amelia.
Heather, Steve, before the jury was seated, the issue of race in the jury selection process was brought up by the defense. Karmelo Anthony's defense team argued that some potential jurors may have been unfairly struck because of race. This is what's called a Batson challenge in legal terms. But the judge denied it, saying prosecutors gave race-neutral explanation and whether they would hold it against the defendant if he chose not to testify on his own behalf. The defense also tried to gauge if the potential jurors would be uncomfortable giving Karmelo Anthony a lower sentence if there's a guilty verdict. The high-profile case has become racially charged, fueled in large part by online speculation, rumors, and misinformation. Race and jury selection became a focus in court Wednesday after defense attorneys raised what's called a Batson challenge, a legal objection used when one side believes potential jurors were removed because of race. The prosecution said the 3 jurors were struck because they were all educators. The stabbing happened at a school function involving students. Ultimately, the judge presiding over the case, John Roach, denied the defense's challenge, saying the state had race-neutral reasons. As a court spokesperson confirmed, this means there are no black jurors on the panel. No electronics are allowed in the courtroom. The public was not able to hear both sides ask potential jurors questions. Judge Roach told jurors court will be held on Saturdays as well, in hopes of getting the case wrapped up by June 12th.
Today, we saw protesters on both sides of this case gathered outside of the courthouse. Again, security remained tight inside.
Today, jurors heard from multiple eyewitnesses who were at the Frisco ISD track meet when the stabbing occurred. This included coaches and an athletic trainer. A lot of the testimony surrounded the track team tents and what the rules were. Memorial High School's head track coach Rob Starr testified it's a big deal to keep everybody separated. He also emphasized that weapons are never allowed at track meets and students sign a code of conduct acknowledging those rules. When Metcalf was stabbed, he says he got there as quickly as he could. He fought back tears while describing the condition he found him in. Another witness, Heritage High School coach Vincent Hooper, testified that after the stabbing, an athletic trainer asked him to stay with Anthony. Hooper recalled telling Anthony that if Metcalf died, it would change the rest of his life. He says Anthony initially said he wouldn't die, but later began crying when Hooper stressed the seriousness of the situation again. Jurors also got to see surveillance video from that day, the original copy as well as the enhanced version. A video expert testified that the enhanced video shows someone push or shove someone and the other person push or shove back. He admitted it did not appear to show the actual stabbing.
A big piece of information that is new information to us related to the alleged murder weapon. Prosecutors say it was a folding knife, and that knife was already opened. And they allege that the knife was ready, and they say that Karmelo Anthony was looking for a reason to use it. They characterize what happened as Karmelo baiting Austin Metcalf into a confrontation. Now, the defense side of it, again, very different from what the prosecution is saying. They are arguing that Karmelo had to act in self-defense. They say that Austin Metcalf was the aggressor. They say that Austin made the first physical contact with Karmelo, and Karmelo had to react in a moment of chaos, and he used that knife to protect himself.
Watch the original videos first, and quite frankly, you really couldn't see much of anything. And then after a few minutes, we zoomed in. He showed all the enhancements, and he had spot shadowing and highlighting who we're supposed to be looking at. You can't really make out any distinct features, and the prosecution admitted that before they even played the video. They had to look at clothing and identify the person of interest, who of course is Karmelo Anthony, and the victim, who is Austin Metcalf. So they outlined all of that based on the photos that came out later once Karmelo was taken into custody. But again, the videos, it establishes what happened. You can definitely make out what happened, but it wasn't, to me personally, as compelling as I thought it would be, because it looks like gas station video. It's really grainy. It's zoomed in. When it's zoomed out, it looks high quality, but when it zooms in, as you know, with any picture, it loses some of the quality. But you can see the tint where everything goes down. You see Karmelo Anthony walk under the tent 2 minutes before Austin Metcalf and his friends get to the tent. And then everything starts going down within 4.5 minutes. You see, just kind of some humanoid blobs under the yellow memorial. Really fast jolts to and from, which they were saying, the prosecution was saying that was the initial push. They're not denying that Austin Metcalf, made physical contact. They admitted that there was a physical altercation, but that was the moment you saw the push. And then, of course, you see the 25, 30 kids start scattering throughout the bleachers. And then you see the person of interest, again, Karmelo Anthony, running down the bleachers, running a ways away from where the tent was, out onto the track and into the arms of another coach, Chris. But
Yo, it's Big Ant, the spokesman, man. We back. Another edition of Urban Politicians TV, UPTV. Make sure you stay on your pivot at all times, man. Had to come tap in. And first and foremost, I do want to say condolences once again to the entire family of Austin Metcalf, loved ones, anybody that dealt with him on the day-to-day, and everybody going through it with this process right now. Him losing his life at such a young age is very unfortunate. Most definitely, God bless his soul, and may he rest in peace. And I've been covering this for like the last year. I was heavy on it when it first broke. If you've been following the channel, you already know. I was trying to let more facts and information came out before I came and spoke. And I had a links in the description where you can watch the clips in the beginning in full on Fox, CBS, and Law and Crime Network. And this right here is one of those situations where I don't feel it's being handled correctly on how we are getting the information, because of the fact no cameras inside the courtroom and no devices. Now, with that being said, this is a case where the public is concerned. You got people outside the courtroom protesting. We know that this is a racial situation. We don't have to lie and we don't have to fake it. With there being no black jurors on this case right now, they gave their reasons of the population of the area that this is at. And then the last 3 that they had, they moved them out because they were in education and they didn't want no biasness with it. But there are 7 white males on the case. I think they said 2 or 3 Asian women, an Indian woman, and then another woman of color. But nobody on this case is black right here. Now, how does that look in the public eye and with the perception of how this is going to happen and play out right now? But there's several layers of information that have now came out with this right here. One of them being that the fact is he was in the tent before them, and also his team didn't have a tent and it was raining at the time. And the prosecutors are saying he went there and just blindly wanted to use the knife. We learned now that it was a folding knife, but he just blindly wanted to use it. And that's what the prosecutor has to push for this to be a murder that sticks. Because if you don't have intent to kill and you don't commit a felony in the murder, then it can't be a murder charge. That's just what that is. There has to be intent and an incentive, and it has to be premeditated for it to actually be a murder conviction with this right here. Now, they said the male jurors were crying when they heard the phone call from the police and things, and everybody was emotional in the courtroom when they was hearing the phone calls and stuff like that. So that's one thing going on right now. And the way that these things play out, like I said, we don't have to sugarcoat it and we don't have to fake it. There's been a lot of misinformation. I was not there. I didn't see no video of it. They had been saying that the video footage was not clear. You could not see the stabbing at all. So with it being guilty without a doubt, that can't exist if you don't have the actual footage of it. It's like, hey, he actually went there with the murder. You would have to judge it off of the circumstances. That's the way that the law works. But the jury, it goes down to their hands at the end of the day. But it's one of them situations where I'm not convicting nobody from this cell phone. I'll just say this. It's best for people to keep their hands to themselves at all times, because it can result to something that get violent. They said that he was approached and asked what he was doing. Yeah, you could say, well, this is like the school culture and the track meet culture. Don't be up under here. It is raining. His team didn't have a tent. It would have been best if this could have been avoided right now, but somebody had also put out there, which I cannot confirm. I don't want to say that they said he supposedly had knew somebody up under the tent as well with this right here, but the way that it's getting pushed, it's like all over the place. We can't convict nobody from outside where we at, bro. And they don't have clear-cut footage of this either. They see the commotion. They see him in the tent already before the guys even go up to the tent and the incident happens. He was already there getting out the rain. But people are going to still choose their sides in this. I want to let all the facts come out. I'm going to keep y'all updated with it. But them not being transparent on it and the way that it played out with the jury selection, and then people want to see, they want to know it's high profile. No audit, no, we can't be in the courtroom. And we've seen so many cases in the courtroom as of late. It's going to be a lot of questions after this case. Y'all tell me what y'all think. We got more coming, more videos. 1000 for Shit Show. Stay on your pivot. I'm going to keep y'all all the way updated with it.